Hello, today I would like to share with you how to knit this vest. This is how it looks completed, and I will fold it in half and show you how it was knitted. It is just a big rectangle. It's a great project for the beginner. The pattern is very easy, only knit and purl stitches. Then you fold it like that, and it's a shawl collar. And it needs one button and one buttonhole. To make this vest, you need only two measurements. I'm sorry, I'm not good at drawing. So the two measurements that are from above elbow, so these are elbows, and you have to measure from here to here, this distance, not the straight line. So I'll draw it in other color. So this measurement from above elbow to above elbow. Do not measure straight, this is wrong. And the length is from the shoulder line or neckline up to mid hips. That's the length. That's a rectangle that you have to knit. It's like a wide and short scarf. Here I already started for little girl, and this I'm almost done, so I'll show you how to make this pattern. So number of stitches for this pattern should be any odd number. I have here 93 stitches for the pattern and 2 for edge stitches, total 93. So now how to make this pattern. First stitch, just transfer, first stitch, and then start from knit stitch and then purl stitch, knit and purl, knit and purl, and continue the same way until end of the row. And do not twist the stitches. So when you knit the stitch, do not knit through the rear loop, only through front loop. And purl is regular, so knit it through front loop. Before last should be also knit stitch, the same as at the beginning, because the pattern should be symmetrical, and the last is always purl, the edge stitch always purl. So next row and all even rows are just knit stitches. Again, first stitch you just transfer and then knit them. See, again, do not twist the stitch. This knit stitch through the rear loop, and this stitch, which is a purl stitch, knit through the front loop. This rear loop and front loop. And the last is purl. Now again, next row, knit and purl stitch, and continue the same way. So I completed knitting. Now it is time to bind off. I just give you the measurements. So the length is, oops, the wrong side. The length of the whole vest, open vest, is about 49 centimeters or 49 centimeters, or it is 19.5 inches. 19 inches. It is about 19 inches. Okay, so now how to bind off the row, last row, to create this nice shawl collar edge. I choose this to be the inner side of my vest, and this is the front side of the vest. So, and I'm binding off on the inner side, which is the side, yes. Now how to bind off, I'll show you. This is there has a little trick. First 2 stitches knit together, then pick this yarn or this loop and put it back on your left needle, return this stitch back to your left needle and knit them both together. Now return this again, this stitch to the left needle, and now knit this stitch with the returned stitch together. Now again return this loop back on your left needle and return this stitch also back to your left needle and knit them both together. Again return it back and knit these 2 stitches together, and again return this back to your left needle. It's like a yarn over from the previous row. Return from the right needle stitch back and knit them together. Then again bind off these 2, knit together and return this back, pick this yarn and put it back and knit together. Oops, and again back together, pick this, put it back and knit together, and continue the same way. Hold last row together, then pick this, goes back, return together. Now this goes back together, again pick, put it back, return this and bind off. It creates this little hole and stretches the whole edge. See how that looks. And continue the same way. After and the last 2 stitches knit together, tighten it, and one more time pull it through and tighten it. Now the trick is leave the long end. So we need an extra long yarn at the end, and at the beginning also, I forgot to mention, when you cast on the stitches, also leave long end. We will need it, you will need it at the end. So now I'm going to cut it off. And pull this yarn through and tighten it. That's the completed knitted yarn, and see how the edge looks for the shawl collar. Now this is the inner side, I said, as I mentioned earlier. So now, and this is front side. Now I have to bring these sides together, fold it over, and using this long ends, let me see if you can, using this long end, I have to sew these sides together, but not complete, leaving this part for the sleeves, as a sleeve for hands, here and on both sides. Of course they should be the same. For that what I found the easiest way is to count edge stitches, how far you want to go on one side and on another side, and put the pins. Put the pins. So I wanted to stitch or to sew it, to connect it as you want, up to this point. So I'm going to put here my pin, close it, and I will count the stitches on this side, edge stitches. So this one, I'm counting the stitch with the pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15th is the last stitch. So 15 stitches, and I have to do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is the stitch where my pin goes. It doesn't want to cooperate. Here. Now, using this yarn, now one more thing before I start. So this is how that will look after I put it together, right? So let me show you. So this is how that will look. And now on this end I will put a loop for the button, and on this side I will have a button. So button, for now I'm going to connect. So now how I'm going to do it, I'm using the hook for that, and I'm pulling this yarn through these two stitches, and now make sure your hook goes through the edge stitches. See, this edge stitch and this edge stitch have to be connected. So now I'm pulling my hook through this edge stitch and this, and pulling the yarn through, and now pull through this stitch as well. That's it. This is the first stitch. Now I will do the same with all these stitches. Again, and pull it through. Of course you can use a needle and put it and connect it with a needle, just sew it, of course. Make sure you do not tighten this seam, and pull it through. Just and check it time to time. It shouldn't be tightened. Again, pull it through both and pull it through. Now next one, both loops, through both loops, and here through both loops of the edge row, and pull it through. And again next, and pull it through, and again, and pull it through. See, it is stretchy end. the last stitch. Pull through, and I recommend you not to close it yet until you try it on. Maybe you want, so this is end. I recommend you to try it on after you complete both sides and see, maybe you want it a little bit longer or a little bit less, a little bit shorter seam. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side, but before I start connecting this side, I'm going to make a buttonhole or button loop. Now from the end, last stitch, not last, this is the side, this is the row, cast on row, and this is a long end that I recommended you to leave at the beginning. When you cast on the stitches, leave a long end, and when you bind off, also leave a long end. And now from the last loop, this edge loop, I'm going to crochet, chain to make a buttonhole or button loop. Make it tight. Now I have to fold it over and check if my button passes through. A little bit more, 2 more stitches. 1, 2. So total I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So also 15. Now close the loop into the same stitch and pull the yarn through. Now loop is ready. Now I have to connect again both sides. Pull this, and my yarn is on this side, see, on this side, and I have to pull my hook on the other side into the edge stitch here, and pull this through. That's it, and tighten it. That's it. That's it. So that's the first loop. Now I'm going to do the same thing. So this is my edge stitches, these are my edge stitches, so I'm pulling my hook through this and through this edge, and pull the yarn through and pull through this stitch as well. Now in the next here, and pull it through and tighten it a little bit, but not too much. Remember, it should be loose. Now this already is done. Now next one. Again, you can sew the sides, of course, and pull it through, and again, pull it through, it is stretchy. And the last one. That's it. Now pull this through, and that's it. Now, before hiding these ends, try it on, open it. So that's how that looks. The vest for little, oh sorry, this is inner side. Turn it over and see the seam, hardly noticeable. That's why the ends, when you start knitting, it should be symmetrical. Pattern should be symmetrical. Now this is a nice collar, shawl collar, and button will go here, and just close it like that. And vest is ready. Oh, I made a mistake with the loop. Loop should be loop should be on this side. Sorry. So I have to redo it. I have to redo it. So I will do loop on this side and closed on this side. But you got the idea, right? So one more detail. So if you decide to make a sample, so this pattern is stretchy. Make a sample of 25 stitches and measure it unstretched. See, if you stretch, it's a very different size. Becomes a very different size. So measure it unstretched, just like this. Measure 25 stitches and then calculate the number of stitches for your project. Using my video, you can use my video how to calculate stitches for your project. Easily you can do that, and then make a vest for yourself or for your little ones. That's it. Very easy, simple. If you need to reduce or make this seam longer, it is this seam is very easy to undo. You just pull the yarn through the last stitch, pull it out, and pull the yarn, and it just goes this way and easily separates. The vest is complete. All I have to do is just to hide the ends, these ends. Make sure the first stitch when you start connecting the sides and the last are tight. The rest you make sure it is stretchable. If you want this narrow, then measure it not above the elbow, but little bit below shoulder. You can measure from here to here, just below shoulders, and take this measurement and make a sample of 25 stitches again and measure unstretched. Now measurements I'll give you. Again, unstretched size, unstretched width is about unstretched width is 85 centimeters, is 86 even centimeters, or 33 and a half inches. And the length here is 40, so 1 meter total. This is 50 centimeters, so but it's double, right? two sides. So it's 100 centimeters, or 100 centimeters gives us how many inches? Or 39.5 inches. That's 100 centimeters. That's how, what the measurements are for adult vest. Or shrug, I don't know how you want to call it. If you want it tight, then of course you make it narrower, less number of stitches. So again, for this vest I used this yarn, and it took almost 7 skeins, and it is 100% acrylic, so yardage 170 yards or 156 meters, and it is 100 grams or 35 ounces skein, and it took, that's what left from 7th skein. You see, total 6.5 skeins basically. So I recommend you to buy 7, and then you can always return if you didn't use 1 skein. So for this vest I used a Karen Simply Soft yarn, which is 170 grams or 6 ounces, and it is 315 yards or 288 meters, and needle size here was 4.5. Needle size here was 4.5 millimeters or US size 7, and for adult vest it was with this yarn, those needle US size 10 or 6 millimeters for this one. So I hope this video will be useful for you. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.